Alright, so usually with these NXT TakeOver reviews, I talk about the quality of the show and all that, but at this point, what's even the point of doing that? Because you know what type of quality NXT is. There's honestly no point of saying, oh, the show was great or the show was fantastic, because it's the norm. It's the norm for NXT to put on fantastic shows. So from now on, I'm not even going to just talk about the quality of the shows, because you already know what kind of quality we're talking about here when it comes to NXT. Top-notch wrestling at its finest. So let's just kick things off right with the first match, and it was for the NXT Tag Team Championships. It was the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly, defending their titles against Oney, Lorcan and Danny Burch. Now, the fans were definitely behind the heel team and the Undisputed Era. Of course, Chicago crowds are usually very rowdy and very smarky crowds and tend to go for the bad guys instead of the good guys and all that stuff. But thankfully, Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch were able to win over the crowd by the end of the match. And yeah, this was just a fantastic way to open up the show, in my opinion, which I was very happy about. I wanted this to be a nice showcase for Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch to kind of make a name for themselves. Although they were pretty well known on NXT, this could put them on the map for sure, and this definitely was the place to put them on the map. So yeah, that was really awesome to see. The crowd was pro Undisputed Era this entire match, because I remember Adam Cole put Kyle O'Reilly or Roderick Strong's foot on the ropes, and the ref saw that and evicted him out of ringside, and the crowd was just booing their asses off. And Roderick Strong saves Kyle O'Reilly from tapping while he was in a submission hold himself, which was really cool. And the Undisputed Era retains after hitting a double team move. And yeah, it was just a great tag team match to open up. You know, there's a lot of good tag teams going on in NXT at the moment, and especially with Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. I feel like Danny Burch is going to be in the UK Championship tournament? I'm pretty sure he is, because the UK Championship tournament does take place in 2 days, so that should be pretty exciting to see. And as for Undisputed Era, they absolutely nailed it in this match as well, and they'll probably move on to face another tag team at Brooklyn. So after that, we had another fantastic match between the Velveteen Dream and Ricochet, and this was, from a storytelling perspective, was the best match on the show until the main event. But yeah, the storytelling in this match was just superb, because the build-up for this match was basically Velveteen Dream saying to Ricochet, you know, anything you can do, the Velveteen Dream can do better. And that's exactly what they did in this match. Anytime one person did something cool, the other person was trying to do something cooler. One thing I'd have to talk about is the Velveteen Dream's ring attire. He was rocking it, man. He was going for like a Hulk Hogan type of look. But if you notice, the pants he's wearing are very similar to what Ricochet wore as the Prince Puma character in Lucha Underground. Like Velveteen Dream even has Ricochet's Prince Puma mask as his bloody profile picture on Twitter. So he's definitely trying to get in the head of Ricochet, which I love that he does that. I love how he has just really creative ring attires and all that, just to try and get under the skin of his opponent. It's a really nice scare tactic, I guess, or just to get them off their game. It's really cool. And they even did like the Rock Hogan stare down from WrestleMania 18, which was cool. And yeah, Ricochet, he has to be one of the most talented wrestlers in the world, man. Just the things this guy can do is just incredible. Of course, he was doing flips all over the place, but not like Will Ospreay flips where it was basically an acrobatic show. You know, everything made sense. The storytelling in this was perfect because, for example, when Ricochet went for an outside dive, Velveteen Dream went for an outside dive himself. Obviously, it wasn't as, 100% perfect as Ricochet's was, but Velveteen Dream still did a pretty good job at doing those flips and all that. So, there was a rolling Death Valley driver at the top, which was really cool. And, there was a suplex on the outside. Both guys were on the apron, and like Velveteen Dream suplexed Ricochet off the apron, and both of them just smacked onto the concrete. it was like one of the most brutal. It was probably the most brutal spot of the match, and then Ricochet hits Velveteen Dream with the rolling Death Valley driver and a purple Rainmaker elbow. So a bit of insult to injury there. And so a shooting star press. So Ricochet then goes for like a shooting star press, but then Dream puts his knees up during that spot, and after Dream misses his elbow, his purple Rainmaker elbow, Ricochet capitalizes on a worn down Velveteen Dream, hits the 630 splash. Is it the 630 splash? And wins the match. Incredible storytelling from two great wrestlers who have a very bright future in the WWE. Ricochet, I feel like he should probably go for a shot at the North American Championship after this. I think that'd be really cool for him to go there. As for Velveteen Dream, I feel like his character is so strong and he's so entertaining that he doesn't exactly need a character at the moment. Just give him an opponent and he can just create a fantastic match with that opponent. That just goes to show you how good Velveteen Dream is, man. Like, he's got it all, and I'm hoping for a bright future for him and for Ricochet. So afterwards, we had the NXT Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler, the Queen of Spades, taking on Nikki Cross. And I wanted this match to be a bit brutal, a bit psychotic, and it was definitely there in the psychotic realm of things, because Nikki Cross, she was loving every single moment of this match. Whether she was dishing out punishment or taking punishment, she was loving it. She could not wipe the smile off her face because she wanted Shayna Baszler to hurt her. She did not get the whole concept of pain. And I thought this match was very good. Obviously, I didn't think it was as good as the two previous matches, but I still thought it was a very damn good women's match. And so Shayna was like kicking the shit out of Nikki Cross, and she was just saying, "Come on, kick me again, I'm loving it." And so Shayna Baszler goes for like a chokehold on Nikki Cross, and in a fantastic ending, while Shayna Baszler is just screaming to like make her like tap out and stuff like that, Nikki Cross is smiling while she's in the hold, and then she passes out, and Shayna Baszler retains the NXT Women's Championship. I thought that was a really good match and a fantastic ending. It definitely helped Nikki Cross's character, and also it didn't hurt her character in a way because like it made sense. Also, Shayna Baszler still gets to keep the Women's Championship. Where does she go from after here? I'm going to say a match against Dakota Kai for the NXT Women's Championship because they've got that storyline going on at the moment. Unless you put her in the ring against someone like maybe Candice LeRae. There's like Bianca Belair. I mean, like there's so many women in the NXT roster. Hell, maybe Kairi Sane even. There's so many great women in the NXT women's division at the moment. So yeah, there's plenty of opponents for Shayna Baszler to take on. So it should be very entertaining to see who her next opponent will be. So and during every NXT takeover, they always show who's in the crowd and all that. And Keith Lee was shown in the crowd for NXT TakeOver Chicago. He was a independent wrestler and who made a big name for himself. I don't know that much about him. I have heard the name before, but from what I've heard, he's very, very talented. So I'm extremely excited to see what he can bring to the table on NXT. And then we get to the NXT Championship match. Aleister Black defending against Lars Sullivan. This was a really good match. A really, really good match. Lars Sullivan just looked like a fucking beast in this, like catching the Black Mass, catching Aleister and dropping him on the apron. And he even went for like a diving headbutt at one point, and then Black lifts up the knees. And like Lars was pretty close in several spots in the match. And yeah, it was pretty good overall. However, I have to talk about the botched Black Mass. Aleister Black went for like his first Black Mass, and it just barely grazed him. But then Lars sold it anyway, which was it kind of hindered the match a little bit. Like it didn't completely destroy it or anything, but it was just something that was out of their control. You know, shit like that happens. and they were able to recover, thankfully. They didn't end the match with that spot. Aleister Black ends up hitting 2 other Black Masses on Lars Sullivan to retain the NXT Championship. So I'm happy that they, I don't know if they ad-libbed it. I'm sure that they did. I'm pretty sure that the single Black Mass was meant to be the ending. But yeah, I'm just glad they didn't end it on that botched Black Mass. Otherwise, this match would have been very disappointing. But thankfully, this match did not disappoint. This was a very great NXT Championship match. And hopefully at some point we get the NXT title in the main event again. You know, not that I'm complaining that it's not in the main event, but because of the feud that's been taken up the main event spot, like it makes sense. But yeah, hopefully at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn we do see the NXT title in the main event, which would be great to see. So then we get to the main event, a Chicago street fight. Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in a absolutely insane, fucked up match. It was just like their previous match at New Orleans. It was just as fantastic as that one, just as vicious as that one as well. Like right out of the gate, like Ciampa just ran into the ring and they were dueling with bloody crutches, and they were even fighting to the outside for a little bit, and Gargano went to grab like one of his fan signs and hit him over and hit Ciampa over the head with it, and turns out in between the 2 signs there was a stop sign in the middle of it, which I thought was quite clever. It reminded me a lot of ECW when they'd have those bring your own weapons matches sometimes, so that was pretty cool to see. There was like Ciampa ramming Gargano into the steel steps with a chair wrapped around his neck, which that was a spot that was pretty hard to watch when I saw that. And then there was Gargano put a trash can over Ciampa's head and went for the kick to the face at one point. And yeah, just Tommaso Ciampa in this match as well. He was just such a vicious, evil, black-hearted heel. Like, he just did not give a shit about Gargano's well-being at all. So Gargano, in return, didn't really give a shit about Ciampa's well-being as well, because this feud has just become so vicious and just such a blood feud at this point that they're going to do whatever it takes to kill each other, basically. So Gargano starts whipping in with his belt, and the crowd starts chanting, "You deserve it," which I thought was great. And there was a cheeky Nando's kick by Gargano, and he started going after the injured knee, which was a good strategy on his part. And Tommaso Ciampa then pushes Johnny into the trash can and has locked into the submission hold. And he just kept aiming at Johnny Gargano's neck. It was very vicious to see that. It was pretty hard to watch because, yeah, when wrestlers and necks go together, I just cringe at that because I'm like, if anything went wrong, it could easily fuck up their career and maybe their life. And a nice little callback spot to last year's TakeOver in Chicago where Ciampa did turn on Gargano. He drags him up, similar to the ending of their match against the Authors of Pain the previous year. And just like the previous year, he chucks him into the LED setup where the wrestlers come out of. And also, like last year, both guys get set up on this giant box full of like technical equipment or something like that. And there are 2 tables all set up right underneath. So Ciampa is going to do the spot where he just slammed him through both tables. And what he does is, before he does that, is he takes off Gargano's wedding ring. He spits on it. Like, when I saw him spit on it, I'm like, that's one of the most evil things I've seen someone do, like, in wrestling in God knows how long. That's like some Naito type shit right there. But, unfortunately for Ciampa, it doesn't go his way, and Gargano ends up doing that to him, and both guys crash through the tables, and it looks like Ciampa is just really fucked up. So Ciampa gets carried out on the stretchers, and you think, oh, is it over? But then Gargano sees his wedding ring with spit on it, and that just sets him off. He drags him back into the ring. He handcuffs him, and then just beats the shit out of him. And all these guys in suits and all that are trying to stop Gargano from getting in the ring and all that. because he put him in a submission hold, and the referees were distracted with everything else that was going on. But how this match ended, Jesus Christ. Earlier on, Ciampa exposed a bit of the ring where it was just a bunch of wood laid out, like exposed wood. So Ciampa, with handcuffs on, runs in and hits a DDT from the second rope, and Gargano's head just bumps on the wood. It was probably the best way to end the match, though. He pins Gargano and wins the match, which I did not expect at all. Like, going in, I'm like, yeah, Gargano's going to win it. But no, Ciampa won the match in a great ending, and just a fucking fantastic match in general. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, what are you doing with your life? And go and watch it. Where do I see Ciampa going from here? I wouldn't be shocked if he goes after Aleister Black and becomes NXT champion, or he has a match with Gargano and it's the last match between the two, and it's all settled at TakeOver Brooklyn. We'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it's a triple threat match with Aleister Black in it, which is fine with me. But this can go in many different directions. So it'll be interesting to see what direction NXT kind of takes this feud, where Gargano's going to go after this and where Ciampa's going to go. Surely there's going to be a third match, because, you know, Gargano won the first one, Ciampa's won the second one. It only makes sense that there's a third one where we truly decide the winner in this vicious feud. So yeah, that's how we ended the show. And another incredible NXT takeover. There's honestly not much to say now to describe how good these takeovers are. They're the best thing in wrestling today, in my opinion. It's them and just New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, those two things are just the best things going in wrestling, in my opinion. Like, nothing can top it. Nothing, in my opinion. So, yeah, thank you guys for listening to this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on NXT TakeOver Chicago for 2018. And if you want to see more from me, hit that subscribe button. I'd be glad you did. Twitter and Instagram is at JackmanLaw for anyone if you want to check me out there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm out in 3, 2, 1.